Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Food School Smarter, Stronger, Leaner podcast on a mission to inspire a world where food makes us better. Guys, today we are talking about weight loss. And we're talking about this specific question that might come up quite often these days because of all the diet culture and all the articles you might be reading and everything that is popular, that is kind of the eat thing or diet or there is so much information these days everywhere on the internet, and not just on the internet but everywhere. Everyone seems to be a nutrition expert these days or a fan of some specific diet. So I'm often asked these days, what is more fattening, carbohydrates or fats? Like, will I get fat eating more carbohydrates, or will I get fat eating more fat? But the truth, guys, is a little bit more complicated than that. First of all, personally, I do not believe any whole food is fattening, like not at all. I'm yet to see a person who got fat and obese eating whole foods only. And I'm not talking about refined food made from whole foods and all natural. I'm not talking about that. I'm actually talking about chewing your food and eating your food in whole forms. So meaning eating almonds instead of almond butter, eating your fish or chicken instead of drinking your protein shake, eating your olives instead of consuming liters of olive oil. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking whole foods versus refined versions of them. And then another aspect of it, guys, nothing is specifically fattening unless it makes you overeat that substance, or unless it makes you unhealthy and again makes you overeat all of the other stuff, and that somehow your poor eating habits disrupt your metabolism, your hunger, and that make you put on weight easier and make you want to eat more. So the combination of all of that makes you, or doesn't make you, fatter or leaner, not specifically carbohydrates or fats. But if we are talking science, biochemistry, biology, digestion of a human being, there is such thing as a thermogenic effect of food. What it means basically is it requires some energy. Our body needs to use some energy to be able to digest and metabolize foods. And specifically for nutrients, when we are talking about protein-rich foods or proteins as nutrients, it will require from our body about 25 to 35% of energy consumed in that food, 25 to 35% of that energy in that food, in that protein, would go to all these processes, not to, our energy account, let's say. And then for carbohydrates, it's lower. It's only 10-15%. And then for fats, it's even lower. It's just 0 to 5%. So, scientifically, it is easier for the body to make fat out of fat and to make energy out of fat. Whether you're going to put that fat into fat storage or those carbohydrates into fat storage, protein is almost impossible to put into fat storage because of the amount of energy needed to digest and metabolize it, and because it's just not a good energy source. Anyhow, whether our body will put something into fat storage or not will depend on many other processes like total energy consumption, your activity levels, how your metabolism works, like whether you are insulin sensitive or insensitive, how well your body can process and metabolize fat for energy, because you need certain enzymes and your digestive system needs to be working properly in order to metabolize all these nutrients. Otherwise, your body wouldn't know what to do with that, and it will be either eliminated or put into storage right away. So depending on all of these factors, your body will again either store energy or use it. So talking science, fat is easier to make into body fat than carbohydrates. But whether your body gonna do that and whether your body gonna make some carbohydrates into fat will depend on a whole range of other factors. And high carbohydrate diet, high fat diet, they will not make anyone fat. That fact of getting or not getting fat will depend again on all the other lifestyle factors, your activity levels, your metabolism, your age, and what kind of diet you are eating. Are you eating keto diet that is full of processed fats and processed stuff like all these, keto cookies or keto bars or keto bread or whatever that might be? Or if you're on a high carbohydrate diet, are you eating a lot of nuts, seeds, vegetables, beans, pulses, fruit, all these whole foods? Or are you eating a lot of processed foods like bread or crackers or cookies or pasta or pizza, even if it's low fat? Because a lot of those high carb foods, they are also high fat foods. So don't forget about that. And also they have quite a lot of protein usually. Like if you order pizza, for example, it's not just a high carb thing. If that pizza has also some salami and some cheese on it, and it's probably there is some fat on top of that, so it's going to be high carb, high fat, and high protein, all of the three. So it's not the carb that makes you fat. So all these details do matter. And also what matters, again, when I was saying that proteins might require 25 to 35% of energy consumed to be digested, carbohydrates 10 to 15%, fats 0 to 5%, the difference is also much bigger when we consider the source. So for example, if we are eating almonds, then calorie from those almonds, whole raw almonds, you're going to consume like all of these almonds, but you're going to be able to absorb, depending on how well your digestive system works, about 30 to 35% less of energy from those almonds, and of course less of fat. But if you are eating even a little bit more refined things such as roasted almonds, or if you are eating almond butter, or if you're consuming almond oil, like pure liquid made from almonds, then you're going to be consuming much more of that energy. And if you are eating butter and oil, then it would be close to 90% of that energy, 95, and even more for oil of that energy going to be digested and metabolized by your body. So also, for example, when you are on a ketogenic diet, right? If you're getting your fats from things like avocados and nuts and seeds that have a lot of fiber, they're going to be much less available to your body than things like, trimmings of fat on the animal tissue, or what else? Or butter, or any sorts of oils like coconut oil, or even MCT oil, right? So in the form of liquid, there's going to be much more energy available to your body. And then the same with carbohydrates. If we're talking about fruit and high fructose syrup, what is it like? I already forgot how do you call the full name of high corn fructose syrup. Remind me, guys. Anyhow, that fructose syrup that made from corn, those are different. In fruit, you have fiber, you have water. Your body has to break down all of these fibers and different structures in fruit, and there is a lot of water also. And also there are a lot of antioxidants, of course, and polyphenols that make the whole digestive process so much more different. So carbohydrates in fruit going to be much lower released, and there are going to be much less of them available to our body to use compared to some drink or something else made from that, fructose syrup. you want to understand that the difference between whole foods and highly refined foods, and it goes for refining totally, wholesome and natural and organic foods, like making juice out of apples. You're going to be consuming much more fructose and calories from juice than from real apples. Plus all the fiber, guys, fiber doesn't just help to move stuff in our intestines, in our digestive systems, through our digestive system. Also, fiber takes with it a lot of nutrients. So again, a lot of what is in apple, including carbohydrates and substances that our body can use for energy, they're going to be eliminated with that fiber. In juice, it's not the case. Everything is going to be absorbed. So there is a difference between eating carbohydrates from a cookie or eating carbohydrates from things like sweet potatoes or beans and pulses and vegetables and nuts and seeds and avocados. There is a lot of difference between refined versions of those foods, of carbohydrates, and whole foods with a lot of fiber and other nutrients. So back to the question, are carbohydrates more fattening or fats more fattening? Actually, it is easier to lose weight with a high fiber, higher carbohydrate diet than with a higher fat diet, because also a lot of foods rich in fat, they are, except maybe for nuts, they're not that rich in fiber. So if you're eating your fat from animal foods, they're easier. The fat usually comes in the form again of, that side fat trimmings and everything. So it is much easier to digest and absorb and assimilate. And the body is more efficient at getting energy from those fats. My personal example, guys, I used to be on a keto diet. Now I'm probably going to get back to it for winter season. And for 6 years, I was on it nonstop, except for occasional days of more, vegetables and fruit and nuts and seeds and pulses, beans. And I was in great shape, in pretty good shape. But then over the past year, I accumulated some more fat, and about 4 kilos of that felt like they were extra, and some of it probably was muscles that I was lifting too heavy, but some of it was definitely fat tissue. I was not as lean as I like to be. So anyhow, I tried to lose weight staying on a keto diet, but it just didn't work. And it didn't work because I felt hungry. It was hard for me to maintain caloric deficit, and I felt like I was missing something nutritionally. I wasn't tracking that much micronutrients, vitamins, and minerals at that time. And so I wasn't able to do that. And I didn't eat a lot of carbohydrates at all. At some point, I even tried to eliminate them completely, but that just didn't work. I would end up eating a lot of fat. And fat is fat, and it requires 0 to 5% energy to be digested and assimilated. So that didn't quite work. And then I decided to include more fiber, more carbohydrates, especially learning more about gut health and how resistant starch that is found in beans, that is found in some tubers, like that is really important for our gut, and fiber in general. And I wasn't, going to start adding some artificially extracted fiber as a supplement. No, I decided to eat more carbohydrate and fiber-rich foods, and I included more beans, sometimes, things like sweet potatoes, also a plate of fruit after my workouts to break my fast. And I was in caloric deficit, and I lost 5 kilos over the summer and a little bit of spring over this whole quarantine thing. And the best part about it is I never felt hungry. I never felt like it was difficult for me to maintain that caloric deficit. And my nutrition profile of the foods that I was eating was off the chart. Like almost all of the days, I'm eating all of the vitamins and minerals that, according to recent science, are needed for a human being to thrive now and many years from now. And so I lost that weight. Also, my fitness improved dramatically. I was able to exercise for longer and doing more cardio and doing more intense. And all of that accumulated, and it allowed me to get in the shape that I wanted to get into. But I was eating about 100 carbohydrates per day, sometimes 80, plus 80 grams of carbohydrates plus 30-40 grams of fiber. So that's what I was doing, and the fats were about 50-60 grams on average per day, and then the protein was about 70-80 grams on average per day from animal and plant sources. And that's what I did, and that's what worked for me. And somebody can say, well, that means that fats are more fattening. No, that just means that for me at that stage, eating low carbohydrate diet or keto diet did not work at all. It worked before, it didn't work now. And again, for many reasons, I wasn't able to stay in caloric deficit. It felt like I was missing a lot of nutrients. I felt off with my energy levels and my hormones and everything. And so it just wasn't working. And I changed it after analyzing all the information, like my lifestyle, my nutrition, specifically vitamins and minerals that I was consuming, and also hormonal issue that might be in place, and my energy levels and everything. And so I made a decision, I changed it, and it worked. And again, so I was eating whole foods as I usually do. On keto diet, actually, I was eating more refined fats than anything because, like I can't really eat all these fatty whole foods, like all that meat and fish and everything. It just feels like too much food and not enough fiber and all of the rest of the stuff. Vegetables and beans and fruit. And so, again, I lost weight this time, much better on a higher carbohydrate diet. I lost weight before on a keto diet, and according to science, carbohydrates, especially whole food carbohydrates, they are much harder to turn into fat in the body. They are much actually easier to use for energy, whereas fat, again, requires very little energy to digest, and it is much easier for the body to make into body fat, although it usually does not happen unless you are overeating. So anyhow, guys, that's the answer. So don't listen to anyone that you have to be on a low carb diet or any kind of diet or on a low fat diet to lose weight. There are many different ways, and the best diet, the best weight loss, fat loss diet that will work for you is the one that you can maintain, that will allow you to comfortably stay, most probably in a caloric deficit, being active, feeling awesome, crushing it, not feeling like you're depriving yourself and you are struggling and suffering. That will not last for long. So you need to find a way to make sure that you are consuming as many vitamins and minerals as possible per bite of food. You need to maintain high energy levels. And at the same time, it should be pretty easy to be in a slight caloric deficit. How slight depends on how fast you want to lose your weight and how fast you can actually do it comfortably with, a little bit maybe discomfort, but not as much so it feels like a struggle every day, the whole day, right? So those factors will define whether you're gonna stay with it and whether it's gonna work for you or not the amount of carbs or fats you eat. There is no magical nutrients that will keep you slim, guys. If you are eating too many calories, too much energy, that's not a great idea for weight loss, no matter whether those are carbs or fats. And that's it for today, guys. Our weight loss, fat loss episode is over. Stay tuned tomorrow for some more discoveries and more nutrition talk from me. We're going to talk about something really interesting. Stay tuned for that. Also, check out my Instagram today when I'm going to be cooking one of my favorite nutritionally dense, but also low in calories, also low in carbohydrates if you care about that, meals ever. Super simple to make, super affordable, And also, again, super rich in vitamins, minerals, all of that good stuff that you need to thrive and to feel amazing and look awesome right now and many years from now. So stay tuned for that on my Instagram. I'm probably going to be doing it live somewhere around 7-8 a.m. Eastern. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to share this episode with one another person who might be struggling with weight loss and not sure what to do, low carb or low fat or everything together. Like, what's there to do? What's the best way, right? Share this episode with that person specifically. Also talk about it together, help each other out. Together we learn better, we practice better, we're more motivated to continue with our efforts to stay on our healthy eating journey. So share, enjoy, and till next time, guys, eat better daily.